Hello, Patriots. Hello, friends. This is Adam Newbold here in Ohio. I'm a retired Navy SEAL living back here in Ohio, in the great state of Ohio. I've got 24 years in the SEAL teams, and I was also a special advisor to the CIA for a number of years. And I have been talking out loudly using my voice for a long time, but I continuously get censored, banned, and I've turned now to Rumble to see if I can get some information out, because we are in the 11th hour, ladies and gentlemen. We are close to the election, and our world as we know it will dramatically change in coming days, weeks, and months. So hang on to your seatbelts and let's get down to business, because we have podcasts out there. A lot of these folks I highly respect. I love their podcasts. You know, Sean Ryan, Dan Bongino, Joe Rogan. They really talk about some great stuff. But when it comes down to things that are affecting us, the global elite, the one world, new world order, the one world government, and the deep state, they tiptoe around some questions sometimes, and that is not what I will do. That's probably why they're still on the air, and I am not. But I want to talk with you about a lot of things and bring back some of the old stuff that I talked about starting when COVID came out, before COVID actually was known, but there was an illness going around, and I was getting some information from some friends. I've got friends embedded still, lots of information coming to us, and I would like to share some of that with you. I know it's important. So again, hang on to your hats, buckle up, and it is time for Dangerous Questions. All right, folks. Adam Newbold here, and I want to point out that I've got Jesus behind me, because I know the global elite, the satanic global elite, doesn't like that, and Jesus has my back. So he is behind me there on the wall, and I want to get into some things that are affecting us in coming days. So there's so much to talk about, so much to talk about. If you do a Google search on me, you'll see all the traitor, terrorist, bull crap, the dangerous individual, dangerous group stuff. I have a tactical association of quite a few folks, and they are patriots. As a matter of fact, there's only 3 criteria to be a member of that association, and that is, number 1, that you are a patriot. Number 2, you don't have any felonies, but we've been saying that rule is probably going to go away as our government continuously tries to make us God-loving, country-loving patriots into criminals, and making new laws to try to have the law backing them when they do so. So there is the criteria of being a patriot, no felonies, and to learn, remember, and embody the spirit of our creed. So we have a creed for the organization. So that's it. Three criteria to be a member. And we have quite a few members. So in any case, it is known as a dangerous group. It's on all kinds of lists, and I'm on all kinds of lists, and it's a bunch of BS. But so whatever you read about me, make sure that you take it with a grain of salt, because I'll tell you, a lot of what you'll read that just took over the internet as far as I go. I was on the cover of the New York Times, international magazines, and publications, sitting on a police cruiser while surrounded by patriots on the Capitol steps on January 6th. And there was a picture of me taken there, and I certainly was there on January 6th. That was the most patriotic day, the most patriotic event I've ever been a part of. And I've been a part of nothing but patriotism since I was a wee boy and all of my adult life as a SEAL and in the military. But that day, as the worst day in the history of the darkest day in the history of the United States, what a crock of crap. All I saw was red, white, and blue as far as the eye could see. And it was absolutely amazing to be on those steps and chanting, "Whose house, our house," because it is the house of we the people, whose house, our house, and then everyone stopping, including police officers, and together singing the national anthem on those steps. A surreal moment, many surreal moments that day, and just an absolutely amazing day. I call it Patriots Day, and I will refer to that day as Patriots Day until the end of my days, and we'll see how long that is. But what I want to talk with you about, folks, is the upcoming election, and mostly the government's resolution to be able to use our military against civilians here on American soil. So the government has passed a resolution to allow, in case of emergency, the government, our United States government, our fraudulent, illegitimate, deep state-run American government. Now, I'm a government guy, have been my entire life, but I am not a corrupt government guy. Although some of the things I was involved in clearly were corrupt, unbeknownst to me and my brothers and sisters in the military. But we've come to learn a lot and know a lot as the veil has been lifted and the curtains have parted. And we've learned about things that we were involved in. So I can be proud of the people that I worked next to and the things that I did. But I am, from the big picture, I recognize now that there was an agenda that we were not privy to. And a lot of it is the military-industrial complex, making money. There are so many levels of deceit. There is self-enrichment. There is power in positions. There are folks that want control, and there is, in my strong opinion, a satanic control at the top levels from old bloodlines throughout history, and they look at most of us as if we are nothing but a virus on this earth. And there's a lot to go in there, but I want to try to keep it to the military, this resolution that allows the government, the so-called government, to use force against civilians, American civilians, which has always been against the Constitution. And now they can use force against civilians up to and including lethal force. So our military supposedly can now, though the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and this absolutely contradicts the Constitution. So I would say that this law, resolution, regulation is null and void, but the government will use it. They're trying to say things to back what they do, and they are planning for civil unrest. And it looks like, despite all of the fraud, the voting machines that are absolutely fraudulent. I don't care, Dominion. You can sue me. I don't have shit for you to sue me for. So you can sue me all you want. But we know, because we used these machines in other countries and we manipulated elections. We put into place who we wanted in place. And I was a part of that. I saw it. I know it to be a fact. And that's what's been done to us. Using weighted votes. When you vote for one person, they might get their vote might count for 1.3 votes instead of one vote, and you vote for someone else, and theirs might be 0.7 instead of one vote. So one vote doesn't equal one vote, and Also, that is not enough, when that algorithm wasn't adjusted enough to put into place who you want in place, since we do not have free and fair elections, then the switch is made and they'll switch large batches of votes over at once. So that is what happened in 2020. Also, the drop boxes, the stuffing drop boxes. If you haven't seen 2,000 Mules, you need to watch it. If you're a naysayer, if you're a Democrat that has believed all the mainstream media BS, which is run by the global elitists who own BlackRock and Vanguard, who own all of these companies, all right, and the families that own them, if you have believed all of that and you haven't watched that and you've just believed and repeated that it's debunked and all of that crap, you need to watch it. Because with the ballot stuffing, the ballot harvesting and stuffing with fake ballots in those drop boxes alone, Trump would have won the election. And there are just so many fraudulent instances that have come out, and people say, well, they were defeated in court. They were defeated in court. They were never taken to court. They never got their day in court. They were stopped because of standing, and then they say, oh, there's all these judges that are corrupt. Then yes, absolutely. See, when you print money, when you can print money, then sky's the limit as far as what you can offer, what you can give. So giving $10 million here, $100 million there as a bribe is nothing. And people work their entire lives and get very little for it because the system is made to keep us down. That's why we pay taxes. Why on earth would we pay taxes when they print money anyway? They don't need the money. The only reason they take it from us is to keep us barely succeeding, so we feel like we have some semblance of success. We can succeed a little bit, but we never get too high. We never break through that system. Very few people do, and then they're brought into the system. So yes, there are corrupt judges, and if money and favors and positions of authority, promises doesn't get it, then threats coupled with those bribes certainly does. And that stuff happens all the time. People are murdered, people are unalived, and that is a fact. So, and not only that, it's not just the person who might feel strong and willing to stand up for what's right, but their family. So imagine your family being threatened. If you have a son or a daughter and they are threatened by folks that will do what they are saying they will do, and it's not good, then what is it that you would be willing to bend for or even break for? We all must resolve within our minds the ability to resist, to stand up, and think of the worst case scenario. We must be willing to give up everything because they're going to take it anyway. They're either going to take it while you're resisting and standing up, or you're going to be a part of the BS and put in a pasture, and they're going to take it eventually anyway and lead us to the slaughter, so to speak, the proverbial slaughter. So this use of military force, we have the election coming up, and it is likely it's going to be very difficult. They've done a good job. They did a good job of making it seem like Kamala was close to Trump in the polls. You see, she doesn't have to have 50% of the vote. They just have to make it appear close, and then they can vote without a rising up of folks. And they did a fairly good job at that. However, Trump has surged in the polls and Kamala has fallen. So there is a good chance that they're not going to be able to overcome Trump's popularity and the votes for him with their cheating. So they've said very clearly, repeatedly now, that that he is unfit for the presidency. They will not allow him to take office, and they are prepared for civil war and are preparing for civil war. So this has been made clear to us, folks. So I don't know. I don't know how much more clear it can be. So you better be ready, because this is what's at our doorstep. And the patriots, the folks that believe on my side, how close we are to civil war, I want to tell you that patriots are probably not going to sit still again like they did in 2020. They are more prepared than ever to stand up, to rise up, because we know that our country will cease to exist if it continues down the path that it is going, and with the agenda in store for it. So, and that's Agenda 2030 with the United Nations, World Economic Forum, the global elites, the Bilderberg Group. This is the United Nations Agenda 2030. It's out there for everyone to see. And that's a one world government, one world monetary system, one world religion that is a takeover by the elites. And the reason that's been expedited is because of Trump. He wasn't counted on. He came into office. They had the fix in the bag for Hillary, and Trump's support overwhelmed that. The algorithms were not strong enough in her favor, and then they still didn't get it right with Joe Biden in 2020. So that's why we saw the Trump outperforming Biden immensely, outperforming Biden, and then all of a sudden the counting stopped, and whoosh, the nice F for fraudulent, as the votes poured in for Biden on false paper and just photocopy ballots and just fake ballots pouring in at 4:00 in the morning. And, he was able to fraudulently overcome that. And of course, Biden hasn't been in charge of anything. And Biden isn't Biden, because according to his niece, he died in 2018, but he was already running for presidency, and he was the vice president running for president. So they had to keep that. And it doesn't matter who sits there for the left, because they're only a puppet, and there are puppet masters. So this stuff goes deep. There's so much proof. I'm not just spouting conspiracy theories. I'm trying to stay on track, but there's so much craziness in this world, and we've got to understand that. And I'm telling you, you have to believe, because you can't turn a blind eye and just say, oh, that's crazy talk. That's crazy talk. It isn't crazy talk. You have people that you know who are dead now. You have loved ones who are dead now because of these crazy vaccines and the suppression of our immune systems, and because of remdesivir and the hospital protocols, where people were murdered by big pharma and the system in place. People were absolutely murdered, and the count now is approximately 30 million people worldwide murdered by those vaccines. So this is all stuff that we can talk about in depth, one at a time. We'll take it one at a time if we get the opportunity to, but I got to try to stay on the topic of the military being utilized against civilians here with this upcoming election in a few short days. I'm going to take a break. I hope to see you back here. Just let me get with our sponsor, which is my company, and that's C4 Coffee. You may have seen us when we came out with a video talking about the cancel culture, and don't buy our coffee. Don't buy our coffee if you voted for Joe Biden. Don't buy our coffee if you believe in the transgender agenda. Boy, I got a lot of flack for that. And, I don't care what people do. That was just, oh, he's a homophobe. He's against transgenders. Who cares? But I'm not in your fantasy land. You want to dress up and play dress up. That's fine. That's your life. You do what you want to do, but don't expect me to call you by your preferred pronouns. I will do it to appease you to a limit, but I'm not going to play pretend with you. I don't believe your make-believe world. Common sense and reality come into play at some point in time. So in any case, here's a word from, or a commercial for C4 Coffee. I hope you'll check it out. This is Colombian bean and high altitude, high quality coffee roasted at C4 Coffee. That's c4coffees.com. The letter C, the number 4, coffees with an S.com. Go there and make your order today. We sure do appreciate the support. Hoo-yah. All right, folks, I'm back, and here's what I want to say about our military, of the finest men and women in the world. The finest men and women in the world being used against American civilians on American soil. Soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines. You must know, and parents, you need to plead with your soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. You must know that there are patriots embedded in the military. There are patriots who know it is their duty to protect the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. There are patriots in our military who will not use deadly force against American civilians. There are patriots in our military who understand that the corrupt administration and deep state, the cabal, is guiding them to war and to be used against us, we the people, who are supposed to be running this government. Those folks will rise up, and you must know that you have a duty to not follow unethical and unconstitutional orders. And those people are embedded, and with the complete indoctrination, the constant indoctrination, and trying to flush them out and recruit, crazy recruiting stuff, trying to recruit transgenders and recruit people. You know, there are transgenders who are conservative, believe it or not. Okay, there are folks who feel a certain way and do certain things, but their life doesn't revolve around just that. And they understand that there are policies that are more important. But the recruiting efforts of the military were nothing more than trying to get people who are more receptive to being controlled and to use against the armed, through the Second Amendment, American populace. But a large contingent of the military, I still believe it's more than 50%, despite their best efforts to kick them out, to identify them and push them out. A large contingent of the military is conservative, God-fearing, country-loving, Constitution-supporting men and women. And they will not go along with the threats against American civilians. So, mothers and fathers, I'm telling you that if your child will, they are in great danger. They are in great danger because that makes them the enemy of the Constitution. That makes them the enemy of Constitution-supporting personnel. And If there are some willing to follow orders to use lethal force against American civilians, there are others who will stop them, and deadly force will be used. So I'm pleading to you to reach out to your sons and daughters and make sure they understand the ramifications of their actions, and make sure they understand that this is a dangerous, dangerous time. And they need to be prepared to go to the brig if they're not following orders, unethical and unconstitutional orders. They need to be prepared to go to the brig, or they need to be prepared to fight their armed brothers and sisters, their brothers and sisters at arms, because that's what's going to happen. And there are so many retired military personnel who their skill sets didn't just go away when they got out of the military. Maybe they gained a few pounds. Yes, I know. Maybe they got a little softer. Maybe they don't have the high-tech equipment that they did in the military, but they have the know-how. And there are millions of them in this land. And beyond that, there are millions of hard-charging, strong, patriotic Americans who will stand up. So our military, if turned against civilians, is up against an armed population of patriots who will bleed for this country, who do believe that the tree of liberty needs watered with the blood of patriots from time to time. They understand that. They don't want that. They don't want that. Nobody wants, no, especially anyone who's been to war. Anyone who's been to war wants it less than anything. They understand how horrific it can be. It will be. But they're willing. So, to our men and women in the military, I beg you to consider right now where your line in the sand is with this corrupt administration who is trying to push us into a civil war. What side are you going to be on? Are you going to be on the side of the cabal who wants to take over America, get rid of America because we're a problem? We are the only problem left in this world because of the Second Amendment. Are you going to be on that side? Or are you going to be on the side of the Constitution of the United States? Are you going to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic? The Constitution is not the government. It is the law of the government. It is the law of the land, the supreme law of the land, but it is not the government. Okay? The things in the Constitution were put there to protect us from tyrannical government. And I can't stand when people talk about the Second Amendment as a right for sporting and hunting and self-protection. The Second Amendment is there for one reason only. Yes, we use it for all those other things, but the reason it's in our Constitution is to stop tyrannical government, to stop government overreach, tyrannical government, and to be able to have a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Folks, we're in a bad situation, and we have just a few days left. You must vote. Will your vote count? Will your vote matter? Well, they're certainly manipulating things. So the answer to that is likely no. On the short view. But in the overall view, you must vote, because when someone is putting it to you, you've got to fight back. If you know it's wrong, you have to do what you're supposed to do, even if you know that it is fruitless. that it is all things are against you. You still have to do what you're supposed to do. Otherwise, you are condoning what they're doing. You're allowing it to occur. So you must vote. You must vote. And then you've got to, if you haven't been using your voice, you need to be using your voice. But there is a time here shortly where things are going to go quiet. And that's a dangerous time, ladies and gentlemen. That's a dangerous time. You know, a lot of us have been trying to navigate this difficult political time and world takeover using the political process, using our voices, standing up, saying this is wrong. We will not give in. We will resist. What you're doing is wrong. But we have other skills. Other skills do exist. We don't want to use them. That's why we're trying to use our voice. But there are Americans with skills to stand up in a different way. And God, I hope we don't have to. I hope by some miracle we don't have to, because I don't see a way around it. Prepare yourself now mentally. Prepare your families. Be ready to survive. See, we're already at war. We've been being squeezed financially for some time now, and it's getting worse and worse. Look at your property taxes, which are unconstitutional, by the way. Income tax is unconstitutional. Property taxes are unconstitutional. The tax on consumption I can understand, but they are expressly unconstitutional, and it's why we went to war. One of the reasons we went to war against the British in the first place. So we've been being squeezed with different doctrines, the way they've tried to indoctrinate our children, the stuff that they've brought to our doorsteps, the craziness that they've created, the division that they have created. And if you're not a conservative person, okay, because I know I'm speaking to the choir for a lot of you, but if somehow you found yourself to this podcast and you're not a conservative person, that's okay, because, you know, truthfully, I'm somewhat of a libertarian. I believe in live and let live. Let people do what they want to do if it's not hurting others. Who cares? Do what you want to do. All right? If you want to work hard, work hard. If you don't want to work hard, don't work hard. Okay? As long as it's not causing everybody else to pay for your lazy ass. And if you need help, if you need a helping hand, that's fine. We all do sometimes. If it's constantly, you know, a hand out instead of a hand up, then that's where you need to be taught how to fish and given a fishing pole, maybe, instead of being given fish constantly. So there's a lot of division, but if you find yourself on the left side and you're saying, finally, what the heck is going on? You must understand the hate that you have for Donald Trump was orchestrated. It's not something you had. I guarantee it's not something you had 10 years ago. That did not exist within you. Why would you care so much? Because he said, grab her by the pee. Why would you care? Why would that bother you so much? Why is that such a big deal? Why are you enraged about Donald Trump, the liar, all of this crap? A narrative created by big media. They created it because Donald Trump. Let me finish with this, in case this reaches anyone. You see, Donald Trump was a very egotistical person. Trump loves Trump. Got it. That's true. That is true. Trump decided to run for the presidency of the United States. I think that he had a calling. I think that he had a feeling of being able to do better, but I also think that he did it for publicity as well. and he decided to run to become president of the United States. I don't believe, I know for a fact since before Kennedy that we have not had free and fair elections for a long time. Presidents are put in place, and the facade of us voting for them is all that we have. They are selected, they are groomed, and they are emplaced to do what they're told to do. Kennedy was killed for preparing to talk about it, about the secret societies and about the cabal. Trump wasn't counted on. See, I was told that Hillary Clinton was going to be the president long before she ran for president. And I was told by some very high-level people, a very high-level person. I was told by a very high-level person, corroborated by another person, in the know, who made sure to tell me, no, she's not going to run for president. She will be the president. But along came Trump, a very popular American, a very popular businessman, the epitome of success. Everything Trump signified success. Trump created that. He created his brand. He's a master showman. He's a master salesman. He's a master brander. And Trump runs for president, and they miscalculated. They could not have calculated the support for that man, and he was able to overcome the fraud in 2016. He becomes the president, and they approach him and tell him, this is how it works. You're the figurehead. And Trump said, no, I'm the president of the United States. I'm the most powerful man in the world. They said, no, that's not how it works. Okay, but Trump's ego saved us, because Trump said, no, that is how it works. I'm Donald Trump, the president of the United States. So he had enough money to not be corruptible like everyone else, because they said, look, we'll give you generational wealth, billions and billions of dollars. This is what you get. Just do what we tell you to do. No. He said no. His resistance, based largely on him being egotistical, caused a log across the river of deceit and corruption that they weren't counting on. They were expecting Hillary to be in office. So Trump comes into office, Trump won't play ball, and Trump is causing all kinds of problems. And thus, the driven narrative, the cultivated hate for him, to get him out, to do away with him, to never have him in office again, because they must maintain control. And oh, by the way, we're moving forward with Agenda 2030 and the one world government, and this is not a good time for someone to come in and disrupt that agenda and that process. So they have now moved forward with trying to charge him with 78 felonies. And he was found guilty of 34, now reversed, because they were bullshit. They've tried to assassinate him at least twice, and that's our government doing that. And I get banned from every platform for saying that, but it is a fact. It is an absolute fact. It cannot be denied, and I can prove it to you, and I will do so in follow-on podcasts. But I'm telling you right now that they have tried to kill him. They've tried to imprison him. They've tried to lie and lie and lie to overcome his popularity, and it hasn't worked. So the next step is martial law, civil war, World War III. See, if the ultimate goal is depopulation, then it doesn't matter if it happens with vaccines, viruses, warfare. It doesn't matter how it happens. The ultimate goal is still achieved. And I do believe that at the very high levels, the 5 families at the top, that is their concern, and why they drive the global warming narrative, the BS narrative of global warming, why they drive that so hard. But there's so much to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. On this episode, I ask you to reach out to your sons and daughters in our military, the great men and women in our military, and let them know that they need to be wise about following orders that are unethical and unconstitutional. And they should resist at all costs using force against we, the people, because we, the people, will not stand for it, and neither will our sons and daughters and brothers and sisters who are embedded shoulder to shoulder with other military folks. Dangerous times, dangerous discussions, dangerous questions. What will your sons and daughters do? What will our military do? And what will the patriots of this country do when we're driven to act? We're praying against it. All right? We're praying against it. We are law-abiding citizens, but we are preparing for a lawless world, a lawless society. So get on your knees at night, pray to the Father above, and ask for guidance. Always, always attempt to be. Don't attempt. Trying is for losers. Do it. Not a fan of Nike, but just do it. Just be a light in a dark world. You've got to be a light in the dark world, because that's where we're at, in a very dark place, and you have got to be a force of good against evil. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me on this attempt at a podcast. I have no interest in fame or fortune or any of that stuff. I just have so much information and so much to say, and I've been censored and censored and censored and censored, and I think that maybe I can get it out to you. You know, all of this stuff is just like, I'm going to do that stuff, but I understand it now because the voice is coming through clear, I think. I'm going to try to do this and try to get you some information, but I want you to stay strong. I want you to be ready, stay alert, stay awake, and stay alive. Be a protector of family, friends, and country. If you want to check out ATG Worldwide, go to weareprotectors.com. That's weareprotectors.com, www.weareprotectors.com. Check it out. If you're interested in being a member, then you can sign up and become a member. We have a network across this great country in place where we can help each other out in dark times. We have the ability to communicate. We have a commerce system established and a paralleling type society ready for the collapse of our own. And there is a lot at your disposal, including training and information in that organization. So if you're interested in that, check it out. We do have a vetting process. We do have a rank structure. So FBI, I've got a lot of great friends in the FBI. There's a lot of patriots in our organizations, folks. It's at the top that they're corrupt. So I've got a lot of great friends in our government still. I was a government guy for a long time, for 24 years. And I admire them, and I'm so glad I'm not in their position right now, but I thank them for staying true in being embedded in a corrupt system so that they can help out from within. They're the heroes within, because we certainly are dealing with the enemy within. So check that out if you're interested in that. You can sign up, and like I said, we've got a rank structure, so anyone that tries to infiltrate, there's a vetting process, and that's fine. They can they can do that. But we do have folks who are members of that organization, that tactical association, who are embedded in the government as well. So, hey, government, you're not corrupt government. You are not without eyes and ears on the inside. We get information from the inside. And if you want some coffee, some great coffee, order it at c4coffees.com. Thank you very much, Patriots. Stay strong, and I will hopefully see you at some point. God bless you all, and God save our country. Booyah.